Hello and welcome back to Bay Brothers. Today we're going to be talking about the newly announced Man of Tomorrow movie in theaters July 9th, 2027, which will feature the returning cast of David Corenswet as Superman, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, and Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Now, on this channel we've already covered the Superman movie quite a lot. We've made videos reviewing the film, talking about the positives and negatives, and even breaking down the budget and the box office to see if it was a flop or a success. But this video is going to be different. Instead of rehashing old ground, I want to talk about what Man of Tomorrow can bring to the table, why the title itself is so significant, and how the sequel can build something really exciting for both Superman as a character and for the DCU as a whole. Let's start with the name because I think it is crucial. Out of all of Superman's names, Man of Tomorrow is the one that really captures who he is. Man of Steel works because of his strength and invulnerability, but Man of Tomorrow is about what he represents: hope, progress, and the promise of a better future. This is Superman embodying all of humanity's hopes and turning them into something real, and that connects perfectly to Metropolis, the city of tomorrow. In this film, I think we'll finally see Superman move past the misunderstanding and mistrust of the first movie and really claim Metropolis as his own. He becomes the living embodiment of what Metropolis stands for, merging himself with the city's identity and showing us the vision of tomorrow fully realized. One of the biggest teases so far came in an image shared through DC showing David Corenswet's Superman standing alongside Nicholas Hoult's Lex Luthor in a supersuit. What excites me most is the potential of the frenemy dynamic, a complicated relationship between Superman and Lex that we really haven't seen enough on the big screen. Smallville showed this dynamic beautifully with Clark and Lex as complicated friends whose paths eventually diverged. But once Superman becomes Superman in most stories, we usually just see the straight up rivalry. In the comics though, we've seen more nuances. Lex trying to wear the S symbol in Action Comics Rebirth, joining the Justice League at the end of the New 52, or even working with Superman when larger threats like the Anti-Monitor were in play. That's why Man of Tomorrow has such a unique opportunity. We could finally see Superman and Lex forced to work together against a common foe. Not necessarily friends or true allies, but two powerful figures whose goals temporarily align. If handled well, that reluctant alliance could be one of the most compelling parts of this movie. And the fact that it's Superman and Lex, not just Clark and Lex in Smallville, makes it even more interesting. This would be new territory for live-action Superman. Which brings me to Brainiac. I've mentioned him in previous videos and I still think he's the perfect choice for Man of Tomorrow. He's not only one of the Superman's most iconic villains, but he's also the kind of Justice League level threat that demands more than just one hero. We've seen Zod, we've seen Lex, we've even seen glimpses of Darkseid, but Brainiac has never been done in live action and he feels overdue. Imagine him targeting Metropolis itself, the city of tomorrow, attempting to shrink and steal it as a part of his collection. That not only raises the stakes, but ties perfectly into the title and the themes of the film. And since Lex is part of the story, it makes sense that he might initially try to cut a deal with Brainiac for technology, only to realize too late that Brainiac can't be controlled. That forces Superman and Lex into the reluctant cooperation I mentioned earlier. And while Lex could still double-cross Brainiac for his own gain, the dynamic of Lex and Superman being forced into a temporary alliance would be fresh, tense, and exciting. Now, let's talk tone. I've said before, the first movie leaned too goofy at times. For Man of Tomorrow, I want Superman to be taken more seriously. That doesn't mean going fully Man of Steel grim dark, because I understand this DCU is meant to be brighter, more optimistic, and more colorful, and I like that. But Superman still needs to carry weight. He needs to mature, to feel like a leader, and to leave a lasting impact on the world around him. This chapter of DC is literally called Gods and Monsters. Superman should feel like a god. Not superior or detached, but larger than life, awe-inspiring, and seen as a symbol by the people around him. That could even set up dynamics for future films about how humanity views him. That's also why I think the direction matters. James Gunn has said he wants this film to fit into the larger DCU. While Gunn is great for certain projects, I personally think Superman benefits from a slightly more serious hand behind the camera. Fun and hopeful, yes, but not casual, not goofy. So a new director for this movie is probably in order. Another thing I want to see more of is Superman's Kryptonian heritage. Superman is the best of both worlds, Krypton and Earth. If you downplay Krypton, you lose a part of who he is. I'd like to see the House of El acknowledged more and his Kryptonian parents respected as part of his legacy. Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane, meanwhile, is perfect casting. In the first film, her relationship with Clark and Superman felt a little too casual. Here, I'd love to see that deepen, maybe even laying the groundwork for marriage, something we've never seen really developed in Superman films. And with Batman and Damian Wayne being introduced into this universe, that even opens the door for John Kent in the future. Man of Tomorrow could plant those seeds. And then there's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. We know Kara is coming, and it's very likely Superman will appear in that movie. If that's the case, Woman of Tomorrow could help set up Man of Tomorrow, showing Clark and Kara as family and officially establishing the House of El on Earth. That not only strengthens Superman's role, but also ties his story into the wider DCU naturally. Speaking of the DCU, James Gunn has said Man of Tomorrow is not just a direct sequel to Superman, but part of the larger DCU. That means we could very well see more Justice League members introduced here. This could end up being a Superman-based movie that also serves as a setup for the Justice League movie. The real transition from the Justice Gang we teased in Superman into a fully developed Justice League. And I think that's a great thing, because it keeps Superman front and center, which is exactly how it should be, while also showing that DC is sticking to a schedule. Unlike the DCEU, which struggled to deliver sequels or keep momentum going, or how the Batman is taking 5 years between two films, the DCU is clearly keeping a tighter timeline. That builds momentum, keeps fans engaged, and makes me more optimistic about the DC's direction. We're still in pre-production, and there's a lot we don't know yet, but just from the title, the confirmed cast, and the images we've seen so far, Man of Tomorrow looks like it has the potential to be something really special. If they build on the positives of the first film, add a more serious tone, introduce a Justice League level villain like Brainiac, explore that frenemy dynamic with Lex Luthor, and weave in connections to Supergirl and the broader DCU, then this movie could not only define Superman but also set the stage for the Justice League. Superman is the Man of Tomorrow, he is the God among men, the hope for the future, and the one who should lead this universe forward. If Man of Tomorrow captures that, it could exactly be what fans like us have been waiting for. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. There's going to be a lot more news as we get closer to production, set pictures, official statements, new casting reveals, and all of that will make this even more exciting. If you liked the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We're getting closer to our goal of 500 subscribers, and we appreciate the support. We'll see you next time. Be Bros out.